I always say that when we say as a country we have opted for a free market economy, we don't seem to have a clear understanding of what we think a free market economy should be. The argument we are having in Ghana today, well, no, it's not happening in the United States of America, right?
No.
It's not happening in the UK, right? But they are all selling fuel like us, right? And they all allow that, let the market forces determine the price on the market.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's interesting. The point is that, yes, we want to do a free market economy, but the truth also is that our markets are not as developed as the US and the advanced one that I've mentioned.
Yeah.
So sometimes there are certain areas that we are apprehensive, thinking that if we allow a complete free market economy policy to run on its own, sometimes the other side of it could hurt consumers.
Yeah.
And for that reason, we found all kinds of ways trying to protect consumers in one way or the other.
Yeah.
I don't think that what the Star Oil CEO said was wrong or has it should even degenerate to this level.
Exactly.
The man just shared an opinion that imagine that there was no price floor. Probably his company could have been selling lower than what they are selling between 10 to 4 a.m., which is the night economy to support 24 hours economy.
Yeah.
That was just a harmless comment he has made. And then the consumers, as usual, see some benefits there.
Yeah.
That if the person is saying that he can sell less than the amount, why should the price floor be a hindrance?
Yeah.
Then it turned into social media debate. So I'm surprised that the association and other people rather have become the main actors now. I believe that, see, let's understand where we are coming from.
Right.
We used to have a petroleum system which had no regulation in terms of the downstream and all the rest. Then the NPA Act was promulgated to actually regulate the downstream petroleum sector, right? And when it was promulgated at that time, it's difficult to determine fuel prices because of market forces, what the world market price and all that. So by the act, the government actually at that time was actually able to subsidize fuel pricing. So if it comes and the determination that the price of fuel should be 10 cedis, and government, so 10 cedis is too high for the public, so government will absorb 3 cedis, so the fuel should be sold at 7 cedis. Then it is 7 cedis across board.
Yeah.
But it led to what you call forest under recoveries, because then losses will be incurred, which the government of Ghana has to pay.
True.
So until 2014-15, you always hear that the government owes BDC so much. It's because of the subsidy and the recovery cost. And the government realized that subsidizing fuel has become unsustainable because it's incurring so much loss to government. Meanwhile, those who are actually enjoying more are the rich people who have the big cars that guzzle fuel.
Yeah.
So when you subsidize, if you do that calculation, it benefits the rich than the poor. So the government in 2014 under Setekpe decided, look, why don't we do a food deregulation and make the consumer pay so that when there is any benefit, the money can rather be used to do things that will benefit the ordinary person. So we deregulated the regime and said that consumers should pay fully for the price of fuel.
Right.
So consumers, since they have been paying the full price of fuel, but in the price build-up, is this tax margin called UPPF, which we, the people who buy the fuel, pay for, which is used to pay for the cost of transporting fuel to any part of Ghana.
Right.
So that we do not say that transporting fuel from here to Tongo, Germany is expensive. So the price of fuel there will be so expensive compared to those who are in Accra. Because the seaport is in Tema. And therefore, if we should do that, people in Accra and Tema will be paying less. Whilst those in the rural areas, Zibila, Zaburungo, Wenchi, other places would have been very high for. So there was this margin, which a tax added to the fuel price that money NPA takes in. And then when you transport your fuel, wherever you go to, the NPA have a calculation of determining the cost of transportation and they pay. So that we can have a relatively similar price of fuel across board. But as a result of the deregulation and the competition, now stations realize that, okay, if it is determined, which is the floor price, that this should be the lowest amount the fuel can be sold.
Yeah.
Then this should be the highest amount you can be sold. This floor price is meant to protect the customer so that the big guys in the system do not exploit the customer by selling at beyond certain high prices. So this floor price has been there for a while. And so you see that from one station to the other, there are small differences in the price of fuel. Okay, because of it's a deregulated regime and it's a free market, let people determine what they want to buy and all that. And this has been going on. And because of the post of the Star Oil CEO, which indicated that maybe they could have sold the fuel lower than what they are selling now in the night, not during the day. He was specific in the night to support the 24-hour economy. People are calling for the removal. You see, let's be very careful with everything we do. Because see, what will happen is that when you scrap the price floor, this is what is going to happen. The big guys who have the muscle can decide to sell at prices that will collapse most of their smaller competitors. Okay, and then when they all collapse and they are out of business, it may be left with only 3 or 4 players in the industry. Yeah. And then after all the small ones collapse, the possibility, I'm not saying that will happen, but there is a possibility that now that all the small ones are out and there are only few ones, we may have a cartel where these bigger ones will now be pricing at the same amount. And that does not give the consumer that flexibility anymore. True. And so we should also be minded about that if we scrap the price floor, and one of the biggest effects is that most of the smaller OMCs, and most of them are also even in rural areas, may collapse. And if they collapse, and now the 3 or 4 that will survive now become like a cartel, how do we survive as consumers? Indeed. And I want to draw the attention of the consumer to it, that even within this deregulated regime that we have with the price floor and everything, until recently, if you monitor across board, the 3 biggest players in the industry, Goil, Total, Shell, most at times their price is the same. Most at times that throughout, anybody should look at it for the past 5 or 10 years. Most at times the price of Goil, Total and Shell is the same. They ask yourself, in a free market economy, you see that those who have the muscle, who are bigger, they should rather be selling at a lower price. And the smaller ones who should be complaining about high overheads should be the ones should be selling higher. But it rather was the opposite, where the smaller ones, because they want to attract the customers, are rather selling lower than the big boys. And I said, really, this is a serious issue. And it's scrapping the floor price at this time. It's also dangerous in the sense that as we speak, we don't have a competition law. So if you scrap it, and tomorrow, what I've just described, that you see Goil, Shell and Total having the same price, and there's no competition law, how then do you regulate that? Okay, how then do you regulate that? Assuming that we scrap the price floor, and within 2 years, this left is only about 4 OMCs in the system, because they will beat down prices to collapse all the smaller ones so that they take over the market. And after that, they will really absorb the losses, because they know that when the smaller ones are gone, the whole market is up there, they can recover their losses. Okay? So if that happens, and then we have 4 left or 5 left, and their prices are now so similar, and then there's no competition law, and we have a deregulated petroleum market, the question then is, how then do you tell them that they are shortchanging consumers or not? So you see, the discussion should be looked at from the various perspectives, including the ones I've mentioned. And as I said, I don't think that what Star Oil CEO suggested should have even gotten to this place. Though the ordinary consumer on social media say, then the government should scrap it. I think that all of us should also be educated to understand that we can scrap it today. Tomorrow, the same people will now come at government and say, why are you sitting down there for all these people to form a cartel and be charging a similar fee.
Very well.
You see, today, let's look at the transportation issue. And let's look at the pressure everybody is putting on government. That why is government sitting down there and truck drivers are doing? Why is the government going to tell the truck driver how much to charge? Because the government did not determine how much the cars are sold at the car ports. Okay, the government is not the one telling spare parts dealers how much they should sell their spare parts. So why all the business of the government tell the truck driver how much you should charge for transport fare? So let's not rush. I believe that maybe the reaction, I think the reaction of the chamber should have been measured. Probably they should have called the Star Oil CEO and say, look, this thing you have posted, we have read it. It has generated into this kind of public reaction from the public. It may create the impression as if other members of the chamber are short-changing Ghanaians. Can we have this discussion of the public space? And let's see how we can do it possibly. Probably if they have adopted that approach, I'm not sure that Star Oil would have been pulling out. But I think their response to the media, because maybe the media was calling them to find out this is what one of your members has said, what is your reaction? And then instead of them realize that that's not the time for them to speak in the media, but rather do a backdoor conversation, they also went out and it's like they are going after Star Oil, one of their own. So for me, Star Oil is right to say they are suspending their membership, because if I'm a member of a group and I make a suggestion and public is interested in the suggestion, even if my association has a problem, I don't expect them to come after me in the public.
But couldn't you abuse your association?
I didn't go after the association. No. You see, that's what I said. The man did not say that somebody is shorting somebody. No. He said, can you imagine that there was no price floor? And supporting the 24-hour economy in the night when most people are asleep, Star Oil could have sold their fuel a little lower than how they would have sold it later. It is just something he's saying that this is something that they could have done to support a government policy. And this should have rather have been a discussion for the chamber to say, okay, this is your idea of support to 24-hour economy, and this, how do you think we can make it possible? That's what I'm saying, that the man did not attack his association. He is looking at a government policy and looking at his company and thinking about how his company can contribute to that government policy. If that generates public interest and it's become a discussion, the chamber should rather invite him and say, look, we think what you have said, the public seems to be highly interested. In your suggestion, how do you think we can make this possible? And then have a discussion. But when the cause media calls you at the association, and then you also jump into the media free, and I feel like I am being attacked by my own association, I'll also suspend my membership.
Thank you. Thank you, Elvis Darko.